When will this guy just fuck off to EastEnders and leave us all in peace already? So after I felt a nerve twitched after looking at this bloody screenshot of this tosser's predictions, I thought, you know what, I can do better than that. So here we go. These are all the things that I believe will happen during the 2026 Formula 1 season. And no, I'm not doing a Drivers' or Constructors' Championship prediction, because I'm not one of those content creators that makes a reaction video once the season ends going, "Whoa! Oh my god, bruv, I was so wrong about that!" So with that rant out of the way, here is my first prediction. Lance Stroll will beat Fernando... Sorry, I can't even keep a straight face. Okay, no, seriously, this is actually my first prediction. Yeah, I'm getting the most obvious one out of the way first. Whether you like it or not, Hamilton is clearly on his way out. Seeing his performance these last 2 years, both with Mercedes and Ferrari, has just been sad. The guy's clearly no longer the driver he once was, making constant mistakes in qualifying and just not having the race pace to match his teammates. Yes, I know his teammates were George Russell and Charles Leclerc, arguably two of the best drivers on the grid at the moment, but you would expect a driver of Hamilton's pedigree to be at least matching them. And, well, he's not. I mean, the fact that he's now dating Kim Kardashian tells you all that you need to know. How these last 2 years have caused him to completely check out mentally. And oh my god, if you thought FOM constantly showing Nicole Scherzinger in the McLaren garage was bad enough, just you wait until they get a load of this recyclable material. Please, Hamilton, I urge you to retire before FOM decides to show us shots of Kim Kardashian 24/7. With that said, I don't think Hamilton will be the only one leaving Formula 1 at the end of this season. Now, I seem to be in the minority here, but I actually don't mind Esteban Ocon that much. Maybe it's because he came from a working class background and, you know, his father's not this guy. But it cannot be denied that 2025 was, well, not bad per se, but just not very good. And now that Komatsu-san has openly admitted that Haas expected a lot more from Ocon, I'm in the mindset that Haas are already looking elsewhere for 2027. I, like everyone else, believes that Oliver Behrman will replace Hamilton at Ferrari once Hamilton retires, and if that happens at the end of this season, I would personally keep Ocon for stability purposes if I was Haas. But following this comment from Komatsu-san, and now that Toyota's in the picture and would likely be pushing for a Toyota driver to be in their ranks, I'm going to say that Esteban Ocon will leave Haas at the end of this year. And if that does turn out to be the case, I really can't see Ocon sticking around the paddock. I mean, apart from Cadillac, I can't really see any F1 team who would want him. And even in Cadillac, having a Sergio Perez Esteban Ocon driver lineup again will probably give the moaning Yorkshireman Vietnam flashbacks.
They show more respect to rivals than they do themselves.
Speaking of Cadillac... Yeah, I don't want to be that realist, but let's be honest, if Cadillac finishes their first season with anything other than 0 points, then it's going to be a miracle. Notice that my prediction is they'll score 0 points, not that they will finish last in the Constructors' Championship. For all we know, Aldi will just constantly break down and not finish a race, or Williams will just fuck up the entire season like they fucked up with the shakedown tests. Regardless, I just think points are going to be too far out of reach for Cadillac. I don't think they'll be firm back markers per se, but their driver lineup doesn't instill me with much confidence. I can kind of see why Sergio Perez is there, but oh my god, Valtteri Bottas, why is he back? This guy is just the new Daniel Ricciardo, where he's just hired for personality and marketing purposes rather than, you know, actual speed or talent. Have people just forgotten what he was like during those last 2 seasons for Sauber? Sorry, I'm going off topic. Like I said, Cadillac will not score any points during their first season, and anyone who believes they will is completely mad. And speaking of mad... That's right, yet another obvious prediction. Like, for goodness sake, the track layout looks like a deformed seahorse. It very much looks like amalgamation of the Miami and Valencia street circuits, i.e. an abomination. Just awkward corner after awkward corner after stop-start after stop-start. This is going to bore us to death. I mean, why aren't we at Jarama? That's literally just up the road from Madrid, and it is 10 times the circuit this shit show will ever be. I know it's a stereotype that all Spaniards are lazy, but come on, the Spanish government could at least just pump some cash into this circuit, make a few changes and upgrades, and there, Bob's your uncle. There's your track. Why aren't we at that instead of its glorified industrial state? By the way, if you're wondering what I mean by more boring than an onboard camera lap with Giancarlo Fisichella, this is what I mean.
So now he's just started the lap.
Yeah.
we're going in through turn 1, which is heartbreaking second gear.
Yeah.
Then third gear on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Now we are in third gear.
Yeah.
We are going to the Tosa corner, which is in second gear.
Is he going to be like this the entire lap?
Rivazza 1 in second gear, Rivazza 2 second gear 2.
Oh my god, he is. Well, I did allude to this in my 2025 driver ranking when discussing Fernando Alonso, but I only meant it as a joke. I didn't actually want it to happen, but, well, it looks like it's happening. With how things have gone in testing, it looks like Aston Martin are going to be in a world of pain for at the very least the first half of this season. Mainly thanks to the engine that's powering their cars. The new Honda engine not only looks shite in terms of reliability and drivability, but just any type of speed at all. The fact that in order to get any meaningful running, Aston Martin are having to turn down their engines to the point where they're not reaching 300 kilometers an hour down the straights really goes to show that they do not trust this engine to not go pop, even with all these gaping gaps in the engine cover. I wouldn't go so far to think that they'll be 4.5 seconds off the pace like Lance Stroll thinks they will be, although he's probably just talking about himself and not the car. But I think Adrian Newey's first tenure as team principal is going to be pretty rough, and perhaps it's his just desserts for having too much control in a team. I don't know, we'll wait and see, but for now I'm going to say that Aston Martin, for the most part, will have a horror show this season, and Fernando Alonso will continue his tenure with the team going into 2027 because he's a masochist. And do you know what the absolute worst thing about all this is? Is that for the next 12 months, the F1 community is going to non-stop go on about GP2 engine, GP2, which is without question the second most overused meme in F1 history. First being, it must be the water. Really goes to show how brain-dead F1 fans are when apparently that's still funny. Ooh, well, this is a juicy one, isn't it? I know people are gonna not like what I say here, but Lando Norris is another Jack Villeneuve. He ended up in easily the quickest car on the grid with a slightly weaker teammate alongside him, and yet only just won the world title against a driver in a vastly inferior car. And then after Jack Villeneuve won his championship, what happened then? Oh yeah, he never won a single race again. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Norris's failure to win a single race will be down to Norris himself. I just don't think McLaren, in this first phase of the regulation changes, will mount a challenge for the top spot. And the best that he'll do is, I don't know, half a dozen podiums probably. So yes, I'm putting it out there, I don't think Lando Norris will win a single race this season, let alone be involved in the title battle. In fact... Look, I said it at the start, I'm not one of these content creators that goes, "Oh my days, bruv, we're gonna have 6 drivers vying for the World Championship, oh yeah, 13 different race winners." I'm not a hypist, I'm a realist. And the fact is, the last time we had an engine regulation change this big was back in 2014. What happened back in 2014? Oh yeah, we had one team that just ran away with everything. And I think that's what's going to happen again. We're just going to have one team that's going to completely demolish every other team on the grid to the point where it's not a competition. And let's not fool ourselves, the majority of teams on the grid that realistically have a shot as the top team have a number 1 and number 2 driver. If Mercedes have the fastest car, it'll be George Russell for the championship, no question. If it's Red Bull, Max Verstappen. If it's Aston Martin, Alonso. If it's Ferrari, then hell have frozen over, because obviously it's not going to be Ferrari. And before all you nutters say, "Oh, but what about McLaren?" Oh yeah, because there was absolutely a title battle between the 2 McLarens last season, wasn't there? Oh no, you can stay ahead of me. Oh my god, this season isn't going to be good, is it? Yes, I'm being pessimistic, and I obviously really hope this season is good, but the signs are pointing that it probably isn't. this prediction is like a bomb that had to be dropped sooner or later, but I wasn't expecting it to be dropped this season. So as everyone knows, Max Verstappen has lots of nice things to say about the new 2026 regulations, such as saying it's anti-racing and Formula E on steroids? What's wrong with Formula E, Max, you bellend? Okay, so Max Verstappen is clearly getting Verstrappy about all this, and considering that he's now got his own racing team in GT3 now, and how that he has been very vocal in the past that he doesn't intend to stay around Formula 1 if he's not enjoying it, I can see Verstappen getting disillusioned with everything related to Formula 1 with these new regulations, and if that happens, I'm very certain he'll take at very least a sabbatical until the next batch of regulation changes comes through. I don't think it'll be a Hakkinen situation where the word sabbatical means I actually want to retire but I don't have the balls to say it, and rather a Raikkonen situation where he wants to do different motorsport disciplines, and who's anyone to stop him? Who would replace Verstappen in Red Bull Racing going into 2027? I don't know. It really depends on whether Lindblad does a good enough job. If not Lindblad, I would probably say Carlos Sainz. I don't think Williams are going to be making the big step forward they were predicting in 2026, and if anything, they will drop down the midfield. And I can definitely see a top driver like Carlos Sainz wanting to leave that situation, so really, it's just a no-brainer for me. But having said that, it was a no-brainer in 2024, and Sainz didn't get the Red Bull seat then, so what the fuck do I know? And so, those were my Formula 1 2026 predictions. What do you think will happen this season? Do you think Formula 1 is in a better place now with these regulation changes? Or do you think they're going to fall flat on its arse? Why not leave me some of your predictions down in the comments below? Or don't. I mean, I'm not exactly going to be rushing to look at them, but you know, whilst your predictions might be wrong, at least they're not going to be as embarrassing as his. Oh, and I have one final prediction. Okay, this is actually just a fever dream and not a genuine prediction, but come on.